Hello, my name is Cami Gala, and this is my presentation on bilingual education with a timeline of important historical events. First, before the 20th century, in 1855, Californian legislature created a law calling for English-only instruction in all public schools. This was only 5 years after California became its own state. The effect this had on bilingual education was that it made it significantly harder for English language learners to learn. They had to learn English faster in order to be successful in their academics. They may not have had good resources to help them with this extreme change in school life. The next historical event happened in the 1880s. This was the native language suppression policies from the Bureau of Indian Affairs. This was an effort established to assimilate Native Americans to become more American. The effects include a loss of many Native American languages, cultures, and traditions. Going into the early 20th century, we had the Nationality Act of 1906, which was signed by President Theodore Roosevelt. This act requires immigrants to speak English and become naturalized Americans. Having competence in English was associated with having loyalty to the United States. The Nationality Act affected education because schools were only allowed to teach in English, which made it harder for immigrants to receive a quality education. Another event in the early 20th century was the 1927 case Farrington versus Tokushige. This case helped to get rid of unfair laws that were unreasonably over-regulating many things in private schools. It specifically, I believe it was the Fifth Amendment that it was trying to protect. And the things that were being unreasonably overregulated were hours, textbooks, and curriculum that was being taught in a student's native language. The educational impact was more freedom for parents to direct the education of their own children, according to Marquette Law Review. The aim of the act was to ensure the Americanization of the foreign-speaking children, for example, Korean, Chinese, and Japanese, through attendance and instruction at public or approved private schools, and to direct their studies while at the foreign language schools. This is why this case was very significant for bilingual education. It had a major impact on students who spoke foreign languages because there were people who were trying really hard to control every aspect of their studies. For the late 20th century, in 1970, the case Lau versus Nichols outlawed submersion programs. School systems' failure to provide English language instruction to students of Chinese ancestry who do not speak English denied them meaningful opportunity to participate in public educational program in violation of Civil Rights Act of 1964. Equality is not provided by providing the same facilities, textbooks, teachers, and curriculum. Students who were not proficient in English needed help to be able to successfully learn and study in English. According to Reuters, one main impact this case had was that it helped to improve racial discrimination by ensuring allocated funds for education were not spent in any ways that would encourage racial discrimination. And eventually these laws were weakened by the Reagan administration. So even though submersion programs were outlawed at this time, later on there was a lot of back and forth. Alright, in the late 20th century, we have in 1998 California's Proposition 227, which proposed that schools had to teach students in English. They called it the English for the Children Initiative. Thankfully, bilingual education was able to survive and even expand. Bilingual education survived because when properly implemented, it works, and because many parents want their children to be bilingual. This was from Baker C. and Wright W., and I really appreciate this quote as it shows the strength and perseverance of bilingual education. In the 21st century, we have the No Child Left Behind Act, which was proposed December 13th, 2001, and signed into law January 8th, 2002. The No Child Left Behind Act focused on English language development. It required supported approaches in English development to be backed by scientific evidence and practices, which this was a struggle for many schools and teachers because there wasn't much scientific evidence and practices. There was limited sufficient testing accommodations for English language learners, and there was not enough clarity on how teachers were supposed to be able to support their English language learners, and there was a major lack of support for bilingualism. Following that, in the 21st century, we have in 2009, under President Obama, he created the Race to the Top. Race to the Top was I want to say it was an event, but it was an idea created to put education first. A lot of other countries were higher in education in America, and Obama, I'm trying to phrase this correctly. Basically, education is extremely important. It should be our country's highest priority. So he created the seal of biliteracy, which was a seal when students who are English language learners graduate. They get the seal of biliteracy, showing that they learned English and they knew another language, and they managed to be successful in school. Like, they overcame having to learn or know two languages. And this was the idea of the seal was to help students who were entering college or a career, and it would show, like, it would be like an extra award, like this person was significant in this, and it just was to show like an achievement. Education reform that supports teachers and classrooms. There was a lot of reform. States were expected to pursue higher standards and to have better aligned policies. All right, thank you very much. That is the end of my presentation.